All right, this is a stage 30 review. This should prepare you for your stage 30 test. Starting off with verbs, what are you going to have to do with verbs? You're going to have to determine the person, the number, the tense, and the voice of verbs at some point in time during the test. A person is first, second, or third person. First is I, second person is you, third person is he, she, or it in the singular, and then in the plural you have we, y'all, and they. Our endings for those are OST, muss, ties, and unt. This is typical of all of our tenses and all of our voices except for the perfect tense, which uses the one on the right, est, id, imus, istus, and erunt. Make sure that you know what endings go with what pronoun. For example, O goes with ego, I, S goes with to, you, T goes with ec and id, mus goes with nos, we, peace goes with wos, which is y'all, and nt goes with a plural. You're also going to have to know the number, that's singular or plural. Again, we'll go back to that chart. Oh. Here's our personal ending chart. The O, M, the S, the T are singular. The mus, tis, and unt are plural. The est, the it is singular, and the imus, istus, and erunt are plural. So make sure that you are aware of the numbers. After the number, you need to know the tense. We have four tenses: present, the imperfect, the perfect, and the pluperfect. The present and the perfect do not have markers. The present doesn't have anything. The perfect sometimes has clues. The imperfect uses BA as its marker, and the pluperfect uses ERA as its marker. You also need to know the voice, which is active or passive. Remember, our actives are the O, M, S, T, mus, tis, and unt, and our passives are, for the present system, we add the R, ris, ter, mer, mini, untor to the present stem. We would also use a marker if it were necessary, like the BA. So BAR would be first person, singular, imperfect, passive. For the perfect passive system, we use that fourth principal part plus sum plus ace plus s plus sumus plus essus plus erunt for the perfect tense. And then for the pluperfect tense, we would add aram, aras, arat, aramus, aratus, and arant. Now, remember, those are going to be separate words. You can see here that doctus sum and doctus aram are two separate words. So when you see sum or you see aram, look to the left and see if it has a perfect passive participle. If it does, you're dealing with a perfect passive verb. Here I've made a list of all of the tenses and all of the voices. They are all third person and singular, so I didn't change the person on you, nor did I change the number. But I did change the tense and the voice, because I think this is the main part of your test that you're going to have to be aware of. The tense and the voice. Is it present tense? Is it perfect tense, imperfect? Is it pluperfect? Is it active? Is it passive? So I made a list here, and what I want you to do is I want you to look at this list, hit pause here in a second, and look at the list and see if you can match them up. Focket, for example, is present active. That's just to the right of it. And then it's he makes. Okay, and the other ones are not matched up for you. So go through there and see if you can find the match on the right-hand side for the word that's on the far left. So all of these will match up with both one of those and one of those. So hit pause and see if you can match those up. Okay, I'll start with the first column. Focket is present and active. Fecit is perfect and active. Factus est is perfect and passive. Facitor is present, passive. Faciens is our present, active participle. Faciebot is our imperfect, active. Factus erat is our pluperfect, passive. Faciebator is our imperfect, passive. Factus is our perfect, passive participle. And fecerat is our pluperfect, active. Translations, all the way over on the right-hand side. Facit is he makes. Fecit is he has made. Factus est is he, do I have it up there? He has been made. Facitor is he is made. Faciens is making. Fakiabat is he was making. Faktisarat, he had been made. Fakiabator, he was being made. Faktis is made, and Fekaret is he had made. Your test is going to have a similar construction to what you see right here. This is 20 points of your test. 20% of your test is looking at a list of words just like this from the same verb. It's going to do just like I did here. One verb in 10 different forms. What is the number? I'm sorry, what is the tense? What is the voice? And then how do you translate it? Just like this. 20 points. So make sure that you can do this. If I were you, I would make another list using a different verb to make sure that I could construct it myself and determine what the tense and voice was and the translation. Subjunctive forms, they're going to give you a subjunctive like a marit here or like a mawisit, and they're going to say, okay, what tense is this subjunctive form? Remember that the imperfect comes from the present stem amare, we added a T. The pluperfect comes from the perfect stem amav, add the ISSE, that gives you the perfect participle. Add the T to get the pluperfect subjunctive. Here you can see what I've done. I've taken my principal parts of to love, amo, amare, and amawi. I've taken amare down and I've added a T. That is imperfect subjunctive. I'm finished. I've taken amawi, I've added the ISSE, and then I've added the T to come up with the pluperfect subjunctive. They're going to ask you about those forms at least a couple of times, so make sure you're good with those. Okay, subjunctive clauses, you have several. You have an indirect command, you have an indirect question, a purpose, a result, a relative purpose, an ubi, and a cum clause. Now, not all of these clauses are on the exam, but the ones that are kind of tricky. So make sure that whenever you're looking at a purpose clause, look at the verb. If you see that ut, look at the verb, because if the verb is a commanding verb, then it's an indirect command. If it's not a command verb, then it's a purpose clause. But make sure that you look for that indirect command word just before the ut, because that's tricky. Indirect questions are a little bit easier. You're going to get that question word. Can be confusing sometimes, but you're going to get a question verb and then an introductory question word like cur or like something that's asking a question. Purpose clause, that's the ut clause. Result clause has a word like ita, which means so, followed by the ut. Relative purpose clause, more than likely going to be qui, can show up in other forms, but more than likely going to be qui. It is a relative clause that has a subjunctive in it. If you have a relative like qui, quai, quod, quam, quas, quod, whatever, you have a relative pronoun with a subjunctive, you're probably dealing with a relative purpose clause. Careful not to mistake a relative pronoun for an interrogative pronoun. So quis and quid are asking questions. Qui and quod are relative pronouns. Ubi clause has an ubi with a subjunctive. Cum has cum with subjunctive. Those aren't. Singulars to plurals. Okay, this can be a little tricky with the third declension. Hopefully there is no issue with the first and second declension, and A becomes AE. The ablative singular A becomes IS. Hopefully the first and second are not too difficult, but the third is kind of tricky, the tricky third declension. For example, if I get a dative, mercatori, the dative ends in the I. To make it plural, I have to add ibis, mercatoribus. Rege, the ablative is the letter E. To make it plural, I would have to have regibus. Maris is the genitive form of mare. So make sure that you recognize, well, that's IS. It's third declension. So IS is genitive. I have to make the plural marium because is the genitive plural. You may get a tricky one like re here. That's in the genitive singular. If I look up res re, it is plural. Its plural is rerum. So I would make sure that's not third declension, by the way. That's fifth. But make sure that you are aware of the third declension for sure. They do throw 1/4 and 1/5 in there on you, so make sure you kind of peek at those as well. Third declension is tricky. Be aware of whether or not the word is third declension or not, number one. And number two, what are the third declension endings? Make sure you're good with those.
Next, you have a section over Latin word study, specifically adding TAS to an adjective. So if I take credulous and I add credulitas, if I add the TAS, it basically means full of whatever we're talking about. So in the case of credulitas, it is full of cruelty. You can also make it a noun. So if you create something using TAS, you basically are turning it into a noun. You'll get credulitas, credulatus, and then your gender. From gravis, we get gravitas. Again, full of weight, turns it into a noun. So if I have gravitas, I have seriousness. If I have utilitas, same thing. I took utilis, which means useful, full of usefulness. Something is usefulness can be used as a noun. The TAS is changed into a noun. Felicitas is full of happiness, so we have happiness, and that's my noun. Suavitas is sweetness. So in English, it's basically the TAS basically equals in ESS, and what it's done is it's changed an adjective into a noun, implying that it's whatever you're describing is full of whatever quality that adjective has. Latin vocabulary. You're going to be asked about similar words. You're going to be asked about opposite words. So you're going to get synonyms and antonyms using these words right here. I'll let you guys look those words up to make sure that you know what the words mean. I will tell you that opus and opace are tricky. Those two are tricky. So make sure that you really understand the difference between opus and opace. You're going to have some English word study as well. Um, they're going to give you words that are associated with your Latin vocabulary, and you're going to have to use your Latin vocabulary to come up with the English meaning for that word. For example, number one is timorous. We know that if something is timorous, that it is that you're timid or fearful. Solarium, that's a room that we go into to look at the sun. So the sunroom. Dubious is associated with doubt in Latin. Sepulchral is associated with tomb, so you're going to have to get from tomb to whatever sepulchral means. In this case, sepulchral is grave life, so tomb, grave life. Demise, it's somebody's death or downfall, ambivalent. Um, that comes from ambo, which means both, and wale, which is to greet. Hey, what's up? Wale, to greet both ways. So, in other words, not knowing whether something is good or bad, that means that you're being ambivalent. So you have mixed feelings. Affection comes from arpakio, which is to affect something. Uh, ambidextrous use both both hands, both right. It actually combo again is both. Dextra is right, so it means both right hands. So you use either hand. Just have two right hands. Indubitably has something to do with doubt again. In means no, so no doubt. So unquestionably. Obstreperous is noisy, coming from strepitus. Opera is somebody's work. So in this case, it would be an opera. Somebody has written an opera, dramatic, some kind of dramatic performance set to music. Figaro, that's an opera. But it is associated with work. Okay, cultural questions. What would the architect supply in a building project? Not much. He's going to make some drawings up. He's going to design it. He might give him some technical advice, but he's really not going to participate too much in actual construction other than saying this goes here and this goes there, or that doesn't look good, that looks good. What kind of tools would the Romans have used? Well, they had crowbars really to move some of those stones around. They had chisels, trowels, things like that. Um, Things that are in our toolbox they wouldn't have had. They wouldn't have had any power drills, no screwdrivers. Um, what made up Roman concrete? Roman concrete was made of lime mortar, fine sand, and clay. The difference between Roman concrete and our concrete, we actually put gravel in our concrete to help basically for its base. What did Domitian restore in his reign? he rebuilt the temple of Jupiter up in Sphinx. So who said, I found Rome built of brick, left it made of marble? That would be Augustus. And what were the insulae and their characteristics? Well, the insulae were basically blocks of apartment buildings. They were made of wood, easily caught on fire. There were a lot of things that were not really nice about it. Very rickety, kind of the mountaintop part of town. You wouldn't have found them anywhere around the wealthier part of town. On the Esquiline Hill, they would not have been. What was a polyspatin? That would have been a crane. Who was Hadrian? He was a famous builder. What was the Pantheon? That was a temple for all of the gods. The Flavian Amphitheater, that was the Colosseum. And Witellia, she would have been the wife of Hadrian, was the famous builder. Okay, so there's your stage 30 review. Good luck. If you have any questions, text me, and I'll try to help you out. Good luck.